Hi everybody, thank you for joining me. Today we're going to explore how to create class discussions using Canvas, and specifically the discussions tool within Canvas. And there are various approaches that we can take to this, and it can be a little bit complicated, so I'm going to walk you through the steps and I'm going to show you alternatives and options so that you can have a good debate in your class. So on our page here, we have a basic discussion with an overview, some instructions, a picture, and then I have instructions for Team A. In my class, Team A is going to be defending the peripheral route to persuasion. They're going to come up with evidence and rationale to support the peripheral route of persuasion as the most important route of persuasion. Now, Team B, on the other hand, they have assigned the topic the direct route to persuasion. So they're going to look for evidence supporting the direct route, and they're going to try and refute the evidence claimed by Team A. Now in this example, I have a basic schedule, so my students will be working together to draft and publish the discussion posts. So Team A is going to have a thread in the discussion, Team B is also going to have a thread in the discussion. And on this schedule, both Team A are going to submit their main argument on Wednesday. And then they're going to have 2 days to read the other team's post, and they're going to present their counter argument to the other team on Friday. And they'll be working together to construct that counter argument. They'll have their own team space in Canvas, and they can also have cloud-based documents where they can draft their post. And then one person from the team will post on the other team's thread, and they'll present their counter arguments. And then finally, they'll have 2 days to wrap up their arguments, present their final argument on their initial team's thread, and that will be the debate. So the debate's going to consist of working together to create that main argument, create a counter argument, and then a final argument. So 3 posts, no individual post, it's only team posts, and that's what this schedule looks like. Now, an alternative schedule would be to have Team A present their main argument on Tuesday, give Team B an extra day to read their argument, and then give Team B an extra day to present their main argument, and then Team A would have a day to respond to Team B, so they would respond on Thursday. Team B would respond to Team A on Friday, and then they would finish up their final arguments on the weekend. A modification I made during the COVID era was to have Team A and B present their main argument on Friday, and just to present a counter argument on the other team's post by the end of the weekend. And so you have to gauge your program, the demographics of your students. Perhaps consider if they are distant students, then are they in different time zones, maybe even different countries or continents? What expectations are most feasible? And it could be that this assignment spans 2 weeks as well. It doesn't have to be done in a 1-week timeline. Now the program I teach in is a little bit accelerated, so we do a 3-credit course in 8 weeks, and so I'm pretty much bound to about a week at a time for my discussion posts. But if you're teaching a 16-week course, for example, maybe you could stretch this out over 2 weeks. Now the simplest way to have a debate would be, in my case, I have 10 students in my class right now, and this is just a sandbox class. They're not real students, but I have 10 students, and so I could have 5 of them to debate the other 5. In that case, I would probably say right here on Team A, I would list the names of the people who are in Team A. And for Team B, I would list the names of the people who are in Team B. So Team A could be Mike and Gia and Thad and Sean. Team B might be Lord and Tracy and Juan. And in that case, this would play out like a normal discussion thread. However, what I've found is that the debates are more effective when they are small groups. And so maybe 2 or 3 people debating 2 or 3 other people, as opposed to 5 people debating 5 people or 6 people debating 6 people. So in that case, I'm going to create a group set, and I'm going to call this Canvas Debate. If I wanted to, I could split it evenly into 2 groups or more groups. What I'm going to do is just create the groups later. I'm going to save that. And now I go to create the group. Now what I'm going to do for a placeholder is I'm going to say Team A versus Team B, and I'm going to save this. And then what I'll do is I'll drop some students into here. So maybe this one would be 3 versus 3. So 3 people are going to debate 3 other people. In this case, I have Mike, I have Tracy, Lord, Gia, Juan, and Mark. And now I'm going to go back to this and edit it. And I'm going to specify that in this group, Team A is going to be Mike, Tracy, and Lord. And then Team B will be Gia, Juan, and Mark. And then I'll go ahead and do the same thing with the second group. I'll put Team A versus Team B and save it. And then I'll add the students to that. And then I'll go ahead and edit it. I'll put Jennifer and Sean versus Thad and Brandy and save it. So now I have my 2 groups. Each group is going to have their own debate. In other words, each group is going to have their own Team A and their own Team B. And so Gia and Mark from this group over here, they're not going to be able to see the contributions of Jennifer, Shanthat, and Brandy, and vice versa. So now I'm going to head back over to the discussion. I'm going to edit this discussion. And in the options below, I'll select that this is a group assignment. And I have my new group called Canvas Debate. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a group. The group will be called Team A, Mike, Tracy, Lord, versus Team B, Gia, Juan, and Mark. And they're going to have their own discussion. So they'll have their debate. They're going to debate the peripheral route and the direct route to persuasion. And then this other group is going to have their own debate. So that way 3 people are debating 3 other people, 2 people are debating 2 people. And I could mix that up. I could put 2 versus 3, 3 versus 2. If I had more students, I could have groups of 4. But in reality, the feedback that I've gotten from the students is that this kind of discussion is really optimal if you can have groups of 3. That way you get the benefits of the collaborative experience, the group project, but you don't have to overwhelm students trying to coordinate schedules. And you don't have to address the social loafers. And it seems really like the group of 3 is a happy medium. Now these 2 groups are going to have their own debates, their own discussions, and it's going to be isolated. And so one thing that my students, if I have come up with, is that after the debate ends, what I'll do is I'll go in and copy and paste all of the debates from the discussion threads onto a Canvas page, and then I'll create an announcement and I'll give the students a link to that page so that they can see all of the main points that were brought up. And it could be that the other groups made some good points that you hadn't considered or you hadn't introduced into your own debate. And so that breaks down this silo of being isolated in group assignments without having to overwhelm students having large groups. And these are just a few variations of what you could do. You could also have a class assignment where a few people debate and other people interject as witnesses, and then they might come together and write a reflection paper. And then in another week, you could switch those roles so that other students are engaged in the debate while the rest of them observe the debate. And then you could have a class discussion based on that. There's so many options, there are so many schedules, but what I really like about the concept of the debate in Canvas is that you're really employing not only the collaborative nature of group work in a positive way, but also that you're engaging in deep critical thinking. And what I mean by that is that they're not only researching and providing evidence and rationale to support whatever stance that they have to take, but they're also going on to the other team with the sole purpose of presenting that counter argument. So they're saying the point you're making is A, I'm going to suggest A prime. I'm going to compare and contrast. I'm going to be a provocateur and present these counter arguments. And then of course at the end of the week, at the end of the term, and we're all on the same team, but this is ultimately just a really powerful way to get students to compare and contrast in a meaningful way. If you have other variations, I would love for you to share those with me in the comments below. Have you tried debates in your class? Have you had challenges or successes, triumphs, anything that didn't work? I'd love to hear from you. I would also love it if you hit that subscribe button and also click that bell to get notifications of new content. Every Tuesday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, I'm going to be putting out new videos. You can visit our blogs at howtocanvas.com as well as follow us on social media. So I challenge you to get your students to debate each other, and happy teaching and learning.